the relationship between healing our body, mind, all our humanness, and awakening to our deeper nature are, to me, so intertwined, so interconnected, and that I can't even really talk about them separately. That it's all one thing. It's all non-dual for me. It's just all the different aspects of the wholeness of who I am. That is such a primary focus in my work, and I see that the in general with spiritual people, because I work with spiritual people as a therapist, generally they have focused heavily on the awakening and not so much on the emotional psychological healing of their trauma that most of us have from our childhood. That it's very common in varying degrees for almost everybody to have some degree of trauma growing up on this planet. So that gets kind of left out, and they believe that somehow the spiritual process is going to take them out of that pain, that's going to resolve it for them. All they have to do is wake up, never mind all that, because that's an illusion anyway. It's not who we really are. And or just focus on this. And if you're going to do that, that's over here somewhere. It's completely separate. And these are things that I've actually heard teachers say, that, this is, where they're coming from. And in our kind of the grandfathers of the non-dual movement, the Ramana Maharshi and Nisargadatta, they were like, forget the body. Ramana Maharshi, just let the bugs eat it. That's all changing. Fortunately, it's not so transcendent anymore. We need to bring it down and ground it into our human experience. And through that, it's the whole point of waking up, so that can move through this human vehicle out into the world for the benefit of the world. And it just has been left out too much, I think. So I'm bringing that in as an emphasis that we do need to focus on these things. And I have groups that I do, one that's becoming very, very deep, in these groups where people are feeling safe enough to feel deep, deep emotions that are so difficult to access, such as shame and deep grief and terror or rage, that we all hold inside of us in some way, and that we need to access that deeper spaciousness in ourselves that has the power to hold us through that, plus the right kind of support from somebody that can hold the space for that, so we can move through these things and become more free and more whole in all of us. And as important as it is to focus on healing our emotional, psychological trauma and wounding that we all have in varying degrees, it's also important not to get too lost in that, into the depths of exploring our deeper psychology and psyche and our emotions and the meaning of them and our trauma and who did what to us and where it all came from. And it can become something that we get a little too entrenched in and identified with. So it is a tricky balance. That's why I always bring in the awakeness. Either it's myself holding that space, or the client as well, or student or client is holding that space themselves. And I'm always focused in some way on having them access it themselves. So it's not dependent on me. And together we be with that presence. So that is brought in, and that's brought in with an awake understanding that we're not all of this, really. Our true identity is not all of that psychology and our conditioning. The whole point is to see that, really, that it's not what we are. So as we deepen in our experience of what we truly are, then it holds us in through that difficult process of facing and meeting it all. That's what heals it. We have to face it. We're not going to get a spiritual bypass over it. So in being able to face it, then we can heal it, and we can understand that it's not who we are. So the more we understand it's not who we are, the more detachment we have from it, the more ability we have to be with it. So it works together, and then you don't get so caught up in it.